Hello and welcome to my channel. I thank you for watching this video. Today I'm making this video because somebody had made a comment in some of my short videos that how much am I getting paid to be a Trumpster. There's things that we need to clarify, and one of them is just because somebody starts to speak about righteousness or fairness or justice, it doesn't mean that you're a Trumpster. Now, if you think that way, that means that you know that Donald Trump, our current president, is doing what's right, what's fair, and what's just for the American people. It's very interesting to see that a lot of people think that when you support the good side, somehow you are the evil one. And I don't understand that. But let me tell you a little something about my state. In the state of Washington, where I live, it's run by Democrats. About almost 60% of the people here in Washington are Democrats. I don't understand why or how that is, being that Washington state used to be is what we called a farming state. Farms have gone away, have disappeared. And keep disappearing until this day. Democrats have done nothing but destroy Washington state. And just so you know how strong America really is, I'm going to get back to this point. Here in Washington, we get taxed for everything from the day that we are born even till we die. There is a death tax. I don't know if you know about that, but we have a death tax. Anything that they can tax, they will. If you inherit, like if you die and you inherit your children money that you have earned and pay taxes on, they will have to pay taxes on that money as well. Well, guess what? My children are me, and they should not have to pay taxes. I should not have to pay double taxes on something that I already paid for. So with that being said, the Democrats here have passed a bill for reparations. They introduced it as something else. I think it was the Covenant Housing Proposal or something like that. I will put it down on the display there. And for the last 3 years or so, they have been allowing minorities to, first-time buying minorities, to buy a house, right? They get a loan, interest-free, which is a great thing, right? I think interest-free is good. That you're actually helping people, but that loan is being paid back. But now they have passed another bill that just got signed in by Governor Ferguson, which I thought was going to be a little bit better than Crooked Inslee, but he seems to be gutless, and it's on the same side anyways. Of course, Democrats, for some reason, they just like to do illegal things. They say they fight for democracy, but they are the ones destroying democracy. And so this bill now, it says that if you have paid into this loan for 5 years, okay, if you're black or Native American, you don't have to pay it back. Now let me tell you something. This is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and it's very racist. For one, the American natives here in Washington, and I don't know about everywhere in the States, but here in Washington, they have their own reservation. They got their own land. They got nothing to do with buying land anywhere else. And if they do, it should be equally available to everybody. Now, the only group that's left behind is the blacks. Now, there's a lot of blacks here. Now, mind you, this state has never owned slaves. So Democrats have been the party that have infiltrated themselves amongst California, Oregon, Washington, the states that have not owned slaves. And here they are, now treating everybody like slaves. They have these sanctuary cities. Their American citizens get punished to the fullest extent of the law. But the criminals, we talk about American citizens that are law-abiding, but the criminals, they get to do whatever they want. And they roam the streets and commit more crimes. And now the sanctuary cities allow illegal criminal aliens to be out and about. Now they put illegal immigrants over its own American people. I know that for some people that don't know history, they don't see that history is repeating itself with a little with a little twist. Just kind of like COVID, right? Oh, COVID, it's a flu, but now there's another strand attached to it. So now COVID is worse. And then there's another strand that got attached, and now it's a COVID something else. History tells us the southern states, which is where the Democratic Party comes from, and this is the Ku Klux Klan, I don't know, the KKK. Democrats are the founders of that, not Republicans. And I remember in history, the southern states had a lot of slaves. If you don't know where they come from, Barbary Wars will give you a hint or an idea. But get to my point. Southern states wanted to keep slaves because of the cheap labor. They did not care about the blacks. They saw blacks as a tool to make money. Now, in the northern states, you had servants, black servants. And they didn't believe that keeping the black men slave was a good thing for the United States because now they are being born in the land, which is why when I hear American, I don't see white. I see everybody. It doesn't matter. There is no specific ethnicity that I look at when I hear American. That's in everybody's constructives have to be different. But to me, patriotism, anybody that is a legal resident, alien resident here in the United States and is a born or naturalized citizen deserves the right to be called an American, right? I get it. We live in North America, Central America, where I'm from, and South America. But North America, we are called Americans here in the United States because it's called the United States of America. These are states that join, let's just say small countries, join together to form the United States. Now, don't dig too deep into that. That's just kind of an example that I can give you. The United States has been built under God. Whether anybody likes it or not, it doesn't matter. The fact is the fact. And because of that, despite all the atrocities, despite all the wars, we have come up big time. And I know, I will get back to my point with the Democrats. But history is very important. And I think a lot of people just miss that. So let's just cut it this way. If you want to know more about history, you got to do your own research. Okay? I will probably talk more about some of this stuff from history in other videos. But for today, I started talking about the Democratic Party here that are building these sanctuary cities and they put American citizens, law-abiding citizens last, and they do this. Why is it important to talk about this? It's not because I hate Democrats and I'm a Republican. I'm not a Republican. But right now, I guess you can say I'm a Republican. That's on your eyes. What I am is a patriot of this nation, of this country, and supports Donald Trump for many reasons. But look at this. We had Donald Trump in the first term. The Democrats, from day one, impeached the mofo.
And when your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach the mother."
Has done everything that she can to make America look bad. And unfortunately, people that are not informed fall for that. Now, if you ask me if I'm getting paid for this, of course I'm not getting paid for it. At some point, maybe, right? But that doesn't influence my opinion on how I see our country and in what direction we're going. Donald Trump was president, impeach, impeach, impeach. Russia collusion, and all this stuff that they threw on him for 4 years. It is hard enough to try to lead a country, to try to build wealth, to try to help secure the border, to deal with local states. When I mean local states, I mean from the federal level, to deal with all the states to make sure that all American people are taken care of. That's hard enough to do itself. But then you have these Democrats just pushing an agenda, you know, shift is shift. I think it's funny that Donald Trump makes all these names, but I think it's fitting. Nancy Pelosi, you know, Newsom. You had all these Democrats that were telling us to stay indoors for COVID-19, and while they were out there celebrating in groups, parties, and dinners, and all this other stuff, getting her hair done and all that, and while we the people are getting punished shut down the country, no money coming in, forget about tariffs, but the economy is going down the toilet, and they say, oh, this is just a big pandemic. It's not a pandemic. And if it was built by the Chinese government in a Wuhan lab. And unfortunately, Americans were involved in that process. Dr. Fauci should be in jail right now. The Democratic Party supported this. Not the Republicans. The Democratic Party supported these experiments to go down there. They say there was a leak. Something happened. I think it was done on purpose. You know why? Because during COVID, while everybody in the world was going down in the economy, China was making trillions of dollars. Pharmaceutical companies were making trillions of dollars. And what were we doing as the people? Oh, let's put up a cloth mask that doesn't do anything for us and pretend that we're being safe. No. That has all been a tool from the Democratic demons to take advantage of the people. Many of these Democrats have come into office now leaving as millionaires. How does that happen? You're a servant. You're not a wealthy, self-made billionaire. You are a servant, and you treat the people that you're supposed to be serving like garbage. God has a punishment for you. It is what it is. And you decide to do evil, you will pay for your evil. But those who look for righteousness, those that look to ahead into a brighter future of peace and love for the rest of the American people and the world, I think those will find a nice reward. Donald Trump did so many things during his first term. And I remember amongst blacks, lowest unemployment. Prices were dropping. You know where you didn't see price dropping too much? Democratic states like Washington State. You know why? Because they tax the crap out of everything. If food goes down, if gas goes down, if electricity goes down, they tax it so much more that you don't see the savings. And they say, well, Donald Trump hasn't done anything because everything is still expensive. And then you have these people, these black preachers that are out there and they sound like dogs preaching. And the problem with this is it's not their way of their preaching, even though they sound like animals when they're preaching. They're saying that the blacks that support the Republican Party, that the blacks that support the American people, they are runaway slaves. Runaway slaves. These fools believe that they are slaves. Why does people not see the erroneous idea? Their faith is twisted. It's not God's. Now you can compare Muslims and you can compare any other religion, but if a Christian denomination is doing evil, that is not God's plan. Muslims that do evil, that's not their God's plan. So there is people that read documents, but they don't believe it themselves. And what happens when they don't believe it themselves? They create this ideology that only what they say is right. And they use a book like the Bible to defend their theories and their points. But in reality, they're just indoctrinating evil with the Word of God. Now, if you don't want to fall into that trap, you should read the Bible. You should try to understand it. You should pray and ask God for some revelation about what you're reading. But you cannot come in there with a sinful nature. You cannot come in here saying, I'm gay, I'm happy, this is the way God made me. No, you will not hear from God. You got to repent from your sins. And I don't want to make this video about preaching, but the point is, there is some points, key points, biblically speaking and spiritually speaking, about believing in God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which I do. I don't call myself a Christian because that's a man-made ideology that I think that many have twisted it so much that you can't even call yourself that. Now, do I say that I am a follower of Christ? Of course, but that doesn't make me a Christian. That just makes me a son of God, obeying the law and the commandments of our God. And Jesus Christ, now being the God of all, he was here our brothers. He called us family. He called us brethren. So here we are. We are made equal in his image. How great is that? But let's go back. Donald Trump finished his term. They didn't let him build a wall, even though illegal immigration went down a little bit. Wasn't enough. We run for president again. He loses, Biden wins. What happens? Here we go. they start attacking, using the judicial system, using judges, using the law of the land, the constitutional law, to lie and try to imprison a president, Donald Trump. They used this for 4 years and they failed. They call him a convict. They call him a criminal. And they call him all these names, but in reality, he was not convicted. And even if it was, what's really scary is that they did this to a president, not alone what they can do to us and other big business people. You and me, the little guys that don't make that much money, we're screwed. We have no protection. We have no support. We got nothing to go on. But Donald Trump came again, right? Now he's our 47th president. Joe Biden, unfortunately, was not there. Oligarchy, it's what Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez is over there banking on. Now, if you don't know what an oligarchy is, it's a small group of people in government running the country, practically, right? And they're kind of like, like puppeting the people. And in this case, it's really interesting. I looked it up. Look up oligarchy and find out what it is. And you're going to see there's a picture of two hands, kind of webbing the mind of one person. Guess who that person is? Joe Biden. Digital signatures were put on paper to pardon all the criminals that should be in jail right now, like Fauci. So I wanted to read out to you guys the pardons, at least some of them, that Joe Biden did before he left. And of course, Francis Biden, all his kids, his wife, you can see in there, for any nonviolent offenses against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 to the date of this pardon. That is crazy. They're covering their tracks. And we're going to go down to Dr. Fauci, which is, I think, is very important that we look at. Look at this. He's being pardoned for any offenses against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon arising from or in any manner related to his service as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force or the White House COVID-19 Response Team, or as chief medical advisor to the president. How about that? And look what else we have in here. The pardon to the members of Congress who served on selected committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Why are they being pardoned? What is there to hide is what I'm looking at. And then it says, and the police officers from the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department or the U.S. Capitol Police who testified before the select committee for any offenses against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in arising from or in any manner related to the activities or subject matter of the select committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States of America. That tells me that they're trying to cover their tracks. That if any information comes up to say that this FBI agents, any police members, or any politician or member of the committee may have lied about, right now, they can no longer be investigated, which is very curious to me as to why that pardon has to be given to these people. So I say, Trump, investigate these mofos, as they like to use that word. And let's get rid of this garbage that we have in office. Okay, so Donald Trump did some good stuff. Nobody believes it. I seen it. I live in a democratic state. I see how taxes are pushed on people. They think we're peasants. They tell Donald Trump, you're not a king. You know what they're saying when they say that he's not a king? They're saying they are a king. Because they're the ones that treats us like peasants. They are the ones that want to tax the crap out of us. And they don't care about us. They are the ones that think are kings. When they blame Trump for something, they bring the law and they blame him for something. It is actually them that is breaking it. They say democracy, it's in danger. Well, they are the ones putting democracy in danger. You have all these senators, all these governors bringing out Today, with corruption, you have sitting judges that are hiding illegal criminals. You have judges that are giving weapons to illegal criminal gangbangers. Judges. And these are the same people that are trying to stop Donald Trump from cleaning up this country, from making deals around the world. China has been taking advantage of us for decades, and everybody knows it. Donald Trump was saying this back in the early 90s, 80s even. And Democrats were saying the same thing. But now he's the evil guy. China is suffering big time, and they want to deny that they're talking to President Trump. That's okay. But the fact and the matter is that the United States buys 1/3. We're the biggest customer for China. And they have been screwing us over. They've been getting richer and richer off our backs. And look how beautiful, and this is what I was talking about, why we are so strong as Americans. Just here in Washington State, about 40% of the party here is Republican independent. Almost 60% it's Democratic. No matter how bad these Democrats are over here and how bad they try to destroy the state, because of the very small amount of good Republicans, this is still a good state. It's not a great state, but it's still a good state. What does that tell me? If we have more Republicans with conservative views that actually care about the American people, this state will be even greater. We have a port here in Seattle. We have so many ways to export and import, just like they do in California, just like they do in Oregon. And we can make so much money on tariffs. Of course, they got to be right, they got to be just, and they got to be fair. We got to treat people with respect, and we got to make sure that they also make money. But the bottom line is the United States is the only country that can go and help other smaller countries. Even Europe is not doing nothing with the Houthis. They're getting raped and taken advantage of by these Houthis, which should be wiped off the face of the earth. But only the United States goes and does something about it. Now they're trying to make Donald Trump go over there and threaten Russia and be like, hey, you gotta go and bomb them or something. They're just gonna talk more trash about him. But look at him. He is a family man. Now he's been divorced. I've been divorced. And believe me, let's just not say whose fault it is. But we've all made mistakes in life. Donald Trump is a father. It is a grandfather. I've seen him, how he acts with children. And he's not a creepy Joe Biden smelling them and sniffing them and trying to grab them too much. He cares about family values. And this is why I support him. And many that will tell you that used to be Democrats are now Republicans are going to tell you the same thing, that he's not the man that they thought he was. Even Bill Maher, which I don't like. But we have a president that really cares for the American people. The Democrats allowed 21 million illegal immigrants into this country. Everybody deserves due process. What's due process mean? Due process, I believe, is the 14th Amendment. Due process means that you have the right to be heard, represented, and trial in court. Well, when you come in and they check your papers, you have no permission to be here, you're illegal, that's your due process. You don't belong in this country, you got to go. That's it. Simple. That's due process. It doesn't mean that you're going to spend weeks and weeks and weeks and months in court fighting what we already know from day one. 21 plus million, it's a migration crisis. And people need to be deported. Maybe I even have family, I don't know, that are illegal. I'm sorry. You got to go. You were born in that country, get back to that country. That's just the way it is. And I'm sorry to be so blunt like that, but that's how it was. If they were to deport me now that I'm an American citizen, they say, hey, you know what? You are connected with terrorism and you're doing this and that, and you want to deport me? Hey, by all means, 100%, nobody's above the law. And this is something that Democrats have been preaching for a long time. Nobody's above the law except them. Because everybody else seems to have to get punished for, even though they keep failing to punish. But they are the ones breaking the law every single time. Judges taking illegal criminal aliens of actual cases where they have come to get them with a warrant, walk them out the back of the door and just let them get away. Judges are not to be trusted either. You got to make a decision. You got to call it as you see it. But Donald Trump tariffs are working. I've seen a lot of countries that haven't paid attention to the United States in a lot of years that now they respect the United States. I remember being the laughing stock of the world when Biden was president. They mocked us. I've seen the Chinese government, when they have had meetings with Biden, they look at him like, they look at him with disgust because they think he's so weak. But now that Donald Trump is in office, China is going to lose a lot more money. They got over 75 million unemployed Chinese people right now. God, please have mercy on these people. Help them, strengthen them, and bless them. The government keeps abusing them as they have for many years. Did you know the Chinese government has killed more people than Adolf Hitler? I think it's very interesting that everybody try to criminalize Donald Trump, but he's the actually only one that is fighting for this country. So if you want to call me a Trumpster because I defend the Constitution and I defend the freedoms and rights of the American citizens, even those legal alien residents that we have here, I was one for the longest time. I was a resident, but I always thought that I would go back to Honduras. Now I made a family here, so the United States allowed me, obviously, by being a resident, to stay here. It took me about 20 years as a resident to apply for citizenship. And I finally did. And I became a citizen because now I believe that this is the land where I belong to. I don't know if I want to stay in Washington State or a Democratic state because they just tax too much. They don't care about the people. But hopefully videos like this and others that have been out there will shine some truth to the people so that we can make this country a better place. If we make this country a better place, the world will be a better place. All I can tell you is that nobody's laughing at us anymore. Now they're taking us serious. And this is why you should support Donald Trump. Guys, if you have found this very interesting, or if you have any controversials, any questions, or you want to just, give me your point of view, leave it in the comment down below, and I'll try to reply to you as soon as I can. And I know that I don't have any scripted, so everything is just coming out of my mind as if we were just talking face to face. But I will try to get more organized. I'll try to get some different backgrounds. I've ordered some backgrounds already. I want some bookshelves, the American flag, things like that. I know I can use a green screen and do that, but I'd rather have like another background. I will go ahead and try to make better videos for you guys. I don't promise because I'm not getting paid for it. And I do what I can with the space that I have and with the time that I have because I do have a full-time job. And so that's my priority. But guys, until next time, thank you so much for watching. You all be blessed.